everyone for joining. Quick program overview here. We will be doing a quick run through of the tracks that are a part of this grant. We'll cover eligibility. We'll cover what funding track details are, and that means the grant term, the award amounts, allowable costs, and reporting. And then we'll go through application and scoring. So quickly, the purpose and priorities of the Urban Ag Grant is to award competitive grants to support projects that enhance the viability of urban agriculture in urban areas across California. And we are using the California Air Resources Board California Climate Investments Priority Populations Map. That is a mouthful. But that is the mapping tool that we are using to identify the priority populations. And so that means that priority is going to be given to urban agriculture projects that are either led by or serving a priority population. We will also be prioritizing projects whose benefits expand beyond the individual applicant. So, you know, just talking about the rest of the community and who else benefits from the work that you're doing. And then projects that clearly display one or more of the benefits of urban agriculture. And so let's move on to the next slide. So the two funding tracks are track one, the Systems Builder Community-Based Block Grant, and track two, the Urban Agriculture Practitioner Grant. Folks must only choose one track to apply to, so only apply to one track. If you receive a track two award, you cannot also receive a track one sub-award. If you have an existing grant with CDFA, that is not a problem. You are absolutely able to apply to this grant as well. And then if you apply for track two funding, but do not get selected for an award, you are able to apply for sub-award funding from the track one funded organization in your region. So a quick overview of track one. The track one Systems Builder Community-Based Block Grant will fund community-based organizations with grassroots involvement in urban and regional food systems planning to increase their capacity in order to create and administer subawards to urban agriculture stakeholders in their region. And so the responsibilities of folks who apply to this track are to design the subaward application. We're really emphasizing keep it simple. This could be an interview, it could be a written application, or the application could be any other method that the community-based organization sees fit for equitably determining which projects meet the criteria of urban ag as defined by CDFA. Aside from designing the subaward application, you will also be developing an effective communications strategy to promote the subaward opportunity. And so that could be radio, it could be press, it could be web-based media, or hosting community gatherings, putting out blasts on newsletters or listservs. This community builders block grant applicants will also be able to either employ a new person to help administer this, or to pay for existing staff needed to manage all of this new work. And then, of course, last but not least, organizations will then be tasked with distributing subawards to no less than 2 urban ag stakeholders in your region, and there is no maximum number of how many subawards you can give away. So the regions that we have, a minimum of 1 community-based organization is going to be funded per region, and a minimum of 1 community-based organization will be funded with statewide reach. And so here you can see the regions that we have throughout the state. If you're in an area that your city, you're not seeing your city in one of these regions, you are absolutely encouraged to apply as a statewide applicant. And so just the details and the terms of this track, we're hoping that the grant application will be able to get funding in people's pockets by around April or May of 2024, and will run through September of 2026. So you have about 29 months to spend down the money that you're awarded. The range is between $200,000 to $800,000. allowable costs we just discussed, but the subaward amounts are between $5,000 to $60,000. And the subawards are able to cover the cost for things within these categories and beyond. So infrastructure, equipment supplies, workforce development, technical assistance, community engagement, and also the operational costs to do your project. Quickly, just covering the reporting requirements, you will need to submit an annual report, so every 12 months of the project. And so if you have a multi-year project, you will do an annual report for each 12 months. And then you will also provide a final report that is a standalone document. So it's not just an amalgamation. It's not just resubmitting the two annual reports. You'll create a comprehensive standalone document that really just talks about the project and what data and results you are able to draw from your work. Also, we will have quarterly check-ins in track 1, and this is just meant to figure out how CDFA can really support you throughout this process of creating and managing subaward programs. And then lastly, evaluation, including survey collection, data collection as agreed upon, and interviews with subawardees. And what that means as agreed upon is all of the details regarding this will come during the contracts period. So you don't have to have all these details in your application. The evaluations, survey collection, and data are all things that we will work through as people are selected for an award and then take the time to go through the contract period with CDFA. And then just quickly reviewing the scoring and the different sections of the application. So here you'll see that we have a total of 100 points right here. And these 100 points are the points that you get for answering different questions throughout the application. You'll see the little dashed lines. That just means that these sections are not scored and don't contribute to the points that you get. So I'll go over really quickly the 5 questions or 5 sections where there is scoring. So the first section is urban ag in the local food system. And here you will get points for demonstrating how the benefits of urban agriculture help to meet the existing needs of your community. The second, and that's for 15 points. The second scored section is the food systems evaluation work section, and there's points included there for having led or participated in systems evaluation work. Again, that's 10 points. The next scored section is the subaward, your ability to manage the subaward program. And so that is where you will demonstrate how much experience you have working with grant funding and contracts. And that's for a total of 25 points. The fourth scored section is the community collaborations section. And this is where you're going to provide letters of support that really demonstrate that your organization has authentic, strong, community-based collaborations on the ground, and that you are a trusted leader in your community so that people who are looking to apply for subawards will feel comfortable working with your organization. And so to get maximum points, you'll see that this is a 30-point section. The maximum number of letters that you would need is 15. That's 15 letters of support will get you the 30 points. And there's more information in the community collaborations matrix, which is a part of the application. And you will see that when you're actually in the Amplifund web portal where the application lives. The final scored section is outreach and communication. So this is really just where you'll demonstrate how you're planning on reaching people in the priority populations that you are going to serve. So you will get up to 20 points for that section. And then quickly, track 2, urban agriculture practitioners. Track 2 is, again, we're going to be using the California Climate Investment Priority Populations map to identify priority populations. And this are the 2 classifications are disadvantaged or low income. You will see that when you click into that map. Both of those designations are going to make your projects eligible. And then projects that clearly execute one or more of the benefits of urban agriculture. And so I won't read them because I want to have more time for you all to engage here. The grant terms are, oh, actually there's an edit here. Well, The grant terms are either going to be April or May of 2024, depending on how long it takes to complete contracts. And you'll have anywhere between 28 to 29 months to execute your agreement or execute your project. The award amount for track 2 is between $75,000 to $300,000. Your allowable costs are the same as I've already kind of gone over. And then with reporting requirements for track 2, there are between you need to submit anywhere from 5 to 10 photos of the site project at the beginning during the application period. And then at the end, you will also submit some follow-up photographs of what's happened or what's changed at your site or with your project. You'll also be asked to submit an annual report every 12 months. You'll also submit a final report. Again, it's a standalone document. And then there will be more information regarding the survey collection, data collection as agreed upon during the final agreement, which is the contracts phase. Again, we have 5 sections where there are actual points given. And so I'll quickly review those. You have the project team, and so there are points included here, 20 points total for providing a clear description of the team members' roles and for team members being a part of the priority population community. The second section is community needs, which clearly you get 25 points for clearly describing your community served and how your projects help meet an existing need in the community. The third scored section is your project description section, and that includes points for how well you're able to identify your project's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And those categories are built into the application. Sorry about that. And that is for a total of 25 points. The fourth scored section is building resources. And this is where you would provide letters of support from collaborators. It could be customers. It could be, whoever you're leasing your land from, whoever your community collaborators are. To get maximum points for this one in track 2, you need 5 letters of support. And so that's for 20 points. The last section is the project evaluation section, and you will get points up to 10 points for being able to describe who will collect metrics that demonstrate the success of your project. Here's the timeline of what to expect. So here we are in the application period, August 21 through October 23rd. And then we have the review and scoring. So that's going to happen between November through the end of January. Folks will get notified whether or not they have been selected for an award sometime in February. And then there's the more complex process of going into completing the contract and the grant agreement with CDFA, and that's between the months of February through May, releasing funding then to folks in May so that folks can get their projects started, and then you will have until September 26th to complete your projects. And again, this is just sort of what I started off saying, how we can help answering questions about the grant. You can always email or attend these webinars, or we'll also provide pre-recorded videos where there is more information. And then how we cannot help. We cannot provide specific feedback on grant project ideas and can't assist in writing the grant application. So I'll leave this slide up for a minute for anybody who wants to get my email address. It's right here on the slide. And then this is the web page where you can find everything that you need regarding this application. Please limit your questions to about 2 minutes, but we actually have not too many people in the room. There's 10 of us. So why don't we go ahead and jump into your questions? I don't think anyone's put anything into the chat. So what I would recommend is using the raise hand feature on this, and we can select people, or there you go. Okay, I see Peter. Peter, you've raised your hand. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so we can kind of be together in this room. Okay, great. So Peter, please go ahead with your question.
Good morning, or good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Rothe with Feed and Be Fed in Los Angeles. I don't think we have ever prepared a grant application that didn't require some kind of demonstration of our fiscal position. Is it in fact the case that you're not asking for existing or past budget records?
This in terms of the application period, so what you're going to be providing to us between August and October, we're not asking anyone to submit fiscal records as part of the application. There might be more information that's required as we get into the technicalities of the contracts period. But during the application phase, you do not have to concern yourself with submitting fiscal records.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Elizabeth, I see that you also have your hand up.
For track 2, I see that there's a limit if your organization's revenue is over $5 million. The question I have is, our organization, 5 Keys Schools and Programs, is a very large organization, and it does exceed that. However, our farming program, which is the Ecological Agricultural Training Center, is very small and definitely would fit within that. And it's an interesting situation because the EAT Center was a very grassroots project founded by one of our teachers who also lives in the community where it's at. And the nonprofit that we're a part of provides very little in the way of funding. It basically provides a grant writer. And, otherwise they have to raise all their own money. So we just wanted to double check how this impacts us. Are we just barred from applying?
Yeah. Okay. So, and it's interesting that small, so it's the definition, it's a qualified small business. That's the definition you're referring to that has those fiscal limitations. So the answer is that came through a lot of public comment requests that we focus on small organizations for this.
Mm-hmm.
So is there another entity that could apply to support that's not, so in answer to your question, the direct answer is no, you would not be eligible to apply. Your organization's financial standing is too large to meet that definition.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's a different way to apply with a different tax identification number, if there's another organization or, I mean, I'm trying to get creative to think of ways that you could submit an application for the work, but it would not be an eligible applicant if it came from that head umbrella organization that seems to have a much larger budget. So.
Okay. And
I'm
track
sorry.
1 does not have that limit though, right? Track 1 does
track one does not have that limit. No. Yeah. So that's something you could explore for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Okay. And I don't want to mispronounce your name. Could you actually
go ahead, try it? You're a professional.
tell me how to say it?
It's Guru Mantra.
Oh, Guru Mantra. That's very easy. Okay,
I'm
great.
here with Seth Wilson, and
Hello.
Seth has a comment he wants to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up a question that Elizabeth shared. If, let's say, the organization that they're supporting, that although it's part, but if they formed, let's say, a students association or group that's not a 501c3, but would require fiscal sponsorship, would that be a possible way whereby 5 Keys could serve as the fiscal sponsor?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, any fiscal sponsorship is totally okay. So if you go into the eligibility section of the RFA, it goes through all of the different folks who are eligible to apply for track 2. So that would be a sole proprietorship, an independent contractor, a 1099 employee. You can see all of this in the definition of qualified small business: a C Corp, an S Corp, a cooperative, a limited liability company, a partnership, and then
Does
also
it
a
have to be a
nonprofit.
legal entity? So, for example, a garden club that might not be a 501c3, but they independently formed some kind of association. Would that be an organization subject to fiscal sponsorship?
I'm not exactly sure that I'm understanding the context of your question. What I'm gonna do right now is actually, I'm just gonna put this in the chat real quick because it'll make it easier for us to talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So this is the eligibility criteria for track 2. And this is the
Yes.
definition of a qualified small business. So anyone can apply to this track as long as they are one of these categorizations in this definition. And so the list that I just read off, and then at the very end, you also see an organization when you see like the third point, an organization that is fiscally sponsored by a nonprofit corporation.
Right,
So-
an organization, but it doesn't define organization.
So an organization would be anything in the first one, the first little one, a sole proprietorship, an independent contractor, a 1099 employee, all of
I'm
those.
not sure that's, I mean, could you get a clarification from your legal on that?
Sure. Yeah,
But,
actually, can you type?
For example, a 4-H club of a school isn't a registered legal entity by any means, but they're also often sponsored through their school. So I'm just asking if, you know, if that same element or interpretation of organization might apply in this case.
Okay, so would you do me the favor of typing in the specific question that I can send to legal? I want to make sure that I get the wording of
Why
what
don't I
you're.
send you an email? I'll
Sure,
send you an email with that.
Yeah, send me an email and I will send that to our legal team and then they can come up with a much more specific answer.
When you get that answer, how will you share it? Because I want to hear it
Yeah.
too.
Well,
Sure,
absolutely. And matter of fact, Elizabeth, we want to reach out to you. We're a stone's throw away from Patrick and the great work that he's doing in Norca.
Okay.
So with regards to sharing Q&A, what I'm doing is I'm keeping a document where I'm writing every single question that I get in emails into a document, and then I'm posting it every 2 weeks, an updated version every 2 weeks to the website. So there'll be, if you go to our CDFA Urban Ag webpage, there's going to be in the right-hand column a document that's the question and answer document, and you can use that for reference. I'm sorry, not for reference. You can find that resource there. I will track all of the questions and provide written answers, and then they will be posted in a document to the website. Does that answer the existing questions before we move on to Will?
Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, Will, go for it.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm Will, also with Feed and Be Fed, and we are reviewing the forms that were provided, specifically the project budget form. And we see that there is a space for other funding available to project, but we also note in the RFA that there's no matching fund requirement at all. So what is the purpose of that other funding column?
Yeah, so I'm guessing, Will, did you click on that form from the RFA itself?
Yes.
Is that where you got that? Okay, so that makes perfect sense. It's a journey creating an opportunity, and all I can say is when you go in, so when you go into Amplifund, which is where the actual application lives, that budget form is not being used at all.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the Amplifund web portal allowed us to actually build the budget questions into it won't be a form that you download onto your computer and then upload once you fill it out. It's a different budget in the actual application. The budget that you're seeing as an attachment in the RFA just has the general categories that you could expect to see in the Amplifund portal. But that is not even going to come up when you actually go to fill out the application. So thanks for catching that, but it's not even a part of the final budget.
Okay, so yeah, I was going to kind of ask a little bit of a part 2 on that. Like,
Okay.
Do we have to follow this exact, not only for the project budget, but for the project work plan? Do we have to follow that format? I had not been into that M portal to download or look at anything yet, so I'm I would imagine you would suggest we do that first and foremost, but
I do.
okay.
Yeah, the project work plan document though that you are looking at is being used. So when you go into Amplifund, you'll actually download that PDF, that fillable PDF, you'll fill it out and then you'll re-upload that. So if you have specific questions about the project work plan, that is going to be something that you will work on as part of the application. So I don't know if I missed any part of your question, but can I clarify anything regarding that?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so we will have to follow, that is the template we can expect for filling in all of our objectives and activities.
Yes.
Just like that.
Just like that.
4 columns, unlimited rows.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And really the whole idea is just to like give a timeline of when you expect to do different things. Like we'll spend a month researching what tractor we want to buy. And then we're hoping to have the tractor by September. And then we're going to have a training for community members on how to use the tractor. And that training is going to cost this much. So you're linking your activities to specific costs in your project in like a timeline fashion.
Yeah. And we see there's a minimum requirement, but are there any maximums on this? I mean, these projects, especially, they could get quite task or project activity heavy. So, if one project was 3 pages long of rows, that's acceptable. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Whatever's going to help paint a picture of what it is you're trying to accomplish is fine. There's no maximum. We're not restricting people. But you don't need to overcomplicate it either, just make sure that the activities that you're talking about really link to the budget line items that you're going to display in your budget. That's mostly what we want to kind of understand.
Okay, good, great clarifications. I guess the last thing that comes up on this while we're on this work plan form, performed by, we may have, in fact, we will have, particular names in mind for, say, majority of the tests, but in some cases it might be a new hire, or it might be a contractor that we haven't yet selected, but we know they're out there. Could we just put,
contractor?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
1099 W-2 to be found later. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mostly we just want to kind of understand that you have the staff capacity to cover what you're doing. And if you haven't hired that person, that's totally understandable. So you could just say to be hired, field staff or program manager. We don't need a specific name, more just like the title, who's going to cover this work.
Okay. That covers the forms for me. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So Hannah.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for facilitating us today. I have a question about Amplifund. So this kind of ties into what Will was asking about. And apologies, this is supposed to be a question at a later meeting, but I've signed into Amplifund using the link that's on the Urban Ag page. And then I created, and I looked over the FAQs about Amplifund and how it's supposed to work. And then so I created a user for myself. And what's supposed to happen after you registering through a user, that it would take you back to the application page. After creating a user, I just get this page that says Amplifund, all these YouTube videos about how to learn Amplifund. But I never find that page where it's here's the CDFA Urban Ag, apply. So I'm not able to get to what Will was talking, what you're talking about with Will, about this is what the application looks like. So maybe it's me, but maybe someone else is, I don't know, having a problem too. Looks like Guru Mantra is having a problem too.
You're also having a problem accessing the Amplifund application using the link on the website. Is that right?
Her description was exactly what I found too. I was waiting for a link to go somewhere and never got it.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's really interesting. Could you, Hannah, could you send me a screenshot of what you're getting? And I'm gonna send it to Amplifund to be, just to try to, has anyone in this room been successful at creating an Amplifund, registering yourself and then opening the application? Has anyone been successful at that in this room? Because that's a little bit of a concern for sure.
It seems like Amplifund needs to send you a link that will go directly to a page where people can apply.
That should be the
Be the
link that's
one.
on our website.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
literally,
okay.
those are the links I got from Amplifund.
Right. Okay. Well, then I will. Yes, I will send. I've got some screenshots. I will send to you. Yeah. Thank you. That's my question for now. But I like hearing the other questions. It's insightful. So thanks.
Okay, thanks for bringing that up, Hannah. That's a pretty big deal. Yeah, I will be in touch with Amplifund today when we get off of this call to make sure that that gets resolved like ASAP. Guru Mantra?
Yes. Another question regarding fiscal sponsorship. Would a fiscal sponsor be able to fiscally sponsor multiple applicants that are different organizations?
That's a really good question. I mean, let me send that. Can you add that to your email to me just so that I can double check? I don't think that there's any reason that they couldn't. So if you're a fiscal sponsor to an organization, the primary applicant is not the fiscal sponsor. Usually the primary applicant would be, whoever the applicant is that's being sponsored by you. So I don't see.
Yeah, just for example, Riverside Food Systems Alliance is fiscally sponsored by California Community Partners in Los Angeles. And I'm sure there are a number of other organizations that are fiscally sponsored by them in LA. Would that fiscal sponsorship to another organization preclude RFSA from participating?
That's a great. I'm going to need to double check my, I don't want to give you false information. I don't think that there's a reason to be concerned about that, but let me double check that with the grants administration's office. They're the ones who know all of these more technical questions. So can a large org fiscally sponsor multiple applicants? Okay. I will include that in the question and answer document, but if you send me an email, I'll just reply directly to you as well as posting it in the document. So yeah, so that would be helpful. So, yes.
One other question here. When we were looking at how you laid this out, when we first looked at it, we just assumed that you made a mistake by not putting.
Before we get into that question real quick, we want to ask that question, but we want to address a few others. But the first question related to track one, would an organization like UCANR Cooperative Extension be an eligible applicant under track one?
Yes, UCANR can apply for track one.
Okay, and if UCANR, for example, we have a large University of California at Riverside with a strong ag program and an agricultural extension program that serves counties in Southern California. Under track one, the applicant must be able to serve all regions throughout the state. So the applicant would have to be the statewide UCANR, or could it be a regional?
No, so for track one, organizations are not mandated to serve all of those regions. You just have to serve 3 different census tracts, or 3 different urban areas.
No, I'm asking about the statewide region. Under the application, it stated that a statewide applicant for track one would have to be able to support statewide applications.
Okay, so are you in the RFA? I'm just
Uh,
trying to figure out where you're seeing that.
I think, if I didn't see it in the app, it was in the earlier FAQs that were listed from your June meeting.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. I'm sorry, I'm actually just looking through the FAQ right now to try to understand where you're seeing that language. I'm sorry, you guys, let me just give me 1 minute to try to figure out.
And I'm gonna have to go look for it myself, or I can
Yeah.
include that in the email as well, the source and link.
Yeah, that would be super helpful because I'm actually trying to.
Yeah, I should have to make that answer for everybody.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll send you, I'll put that into my questions list.
Okay, that would be great. I'm sorry that, okay,
No worries.
okay. Yeah, I will absolutely address that in my written responses and also in your email. So I will post all the answers to these questions in the document that will be on our website by the end of the week, I'm hoping. So and then that document will be updated weekly. So
Okay, so now let's get to the question Guru Mantra was about to raise. Was there, could you describe what the methodology was used to establish the 5 regions listed in the application?
oh yeah, I mean,
Sure,
essentially,
region.
really, we just did a list of like what are the top, 8 or 9 most populous cities in Sacramento, in California, and then kind of just mirrored those regions and then figured, okay, if we have statewide as a 6th, it'll allow for anyone else to apply.
So,
So we were just, yeah.
So did you did not apply the priority populations data that you're using to establish what those regions were?
Right. No, that was not a part of the process.
Okay. Well, I shared with you an email this morning. I don't know if you received it or had a chance to look at it, but we did an analysis of the Inland Empire region, Riverside and San Bernardino counties. And just a couple of quick facts. Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ontario as a metropolitan statistical area, of which there are 398, I believe, in the United States. Riverside, San Bernardino, Ontario metro area ranks 12th among all 398. It is the 2nd largest region in the state of California, ahead of the Bay Area and that 7-county region. In terms of the metrics used for disadvantaged communities, it ranks 2nd behind Los Angeles. And in terms of poverty levels, it ranks behind the Bay Area, 7-state Bay Area region for poverty. It ranks 1st across all of the regions in terms of tribal communities, and it ranks 3rd behind LA and Bay Area for the number of urban population cities over 50,000 within its region. And so the concern that we have is that if we're only limited to statewide access of funds, that there's an equity issue in relation to the Inland Empire compared to other counties that may not have the rankings used by this application. And also the concern that we have that because this is a one-time only grant, that this would not be corrected in future applications because there would be no future applications.
Yeah, that's I'm so glad you brought all of this information to light. I mean, I can't say anything other than I just didn't know. So I'm hoping, first off, that hopefully we will get more funding to offer another round. I just can't say whether the state will approve that. If they do offer a second round, which is a giant question mark still,
Right.
I agree with the information you just provided that we should absolutely create another region, and that's something that is absolutely possible should we have the opportunity to make edits and redesign this. Man, I just wish that I had more information like this during public comment, because
Yeah.
during public comment is like the only time I was able to make edits.
Yeah.
Obviously too little too late on my behalf. So I take
Well,
responsibility for that.
we're not so sure yet, but because we have a pretty, given that size population, we also have a pretty large contingency of state assembly members and state. So, we think a quick solution would be a rapid addition of the inland
Oh man.
to the grant and keep the timelines the same, and everything would be fine.
I honestly don't know if it's actually possible for me to make changes to anything at this point. If you know anything about state or working in government, the word rapid is not really part of the vocabulary.
I
So
understand.
to be completely forthright, I will see if there's something potentially, but that's literally why public comment period is that's the time when those types of edits are made.
Okay. Well,
Again, like I've only been working for the state for 9 months to build this
I
program. This
understand.
is brand new for me too. So the only thing I can think of to do is to literally talk to the grants administration's office and see if maybe I could post a clarification of some kind that would encourage Inland Empire community-based organizations to kind of get that awareness that they are a priority. So let me
we're
just talk to
concerned that
grants.
there's $800,000 going to these 5 other regions, while our region has to be spread across the rest of the state.
So that's a part of the language that I really want to get some clarification on, because maybe what could happen then is that for folks who are maybe we can recategorize statewide as prioritizing regions that are not in the 5 regions. That might be a solution where the RFA isn't being asked to be redoctored completely, but we can make a conditional. I'm hearing you loud and clear, and I agree with what you're saying. So what I'm going to just try to do is find a way to communicate that to the Inland Empire organizations, and see if we can like reconfigure some of the statewide language to kind of prioritize Inland Empire urban areas. So it's very much in the front of my mind. I'm going to work on that when we get off of this call to see
Thank you.
what processes exist in the state that I can make this announcement. I think that all of the points that you brought up are completely great points, and I just wish I had more information previously, but just know that also if we do get the opportunity to launch another round of funding, we will absolutely be able to add another region.
Thank you. And I guess one other question. We thought that there was a 11 o'clock meeting for track 1, and then a Thursday meeting, I believe, in the afternoon for track 2. But we spent almost an entire hour trying to find the link to that and could not find it. So
get out of here. Okay, so you're talking about these are the meetings for Amplifund that'll walk you through the Amplifund portal. Okay, so when you go to our website, so you're at the CDFA Urban Ag webpage. I'm actually going to do it really quick right now, just so that I make sure I'm communicating this accurately. So you're on our webpage.
Could you just go to share screen and show that?
Thank you. I forgot that we have that capacity. I'll share my screen right now. Okay, so Okay, so here we are at the Urban Ag Grant page. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then you see the Amplifund here, this drop down Amplifund grants portal. There's this drop down bar with Amplifund grants information. You'll find here's the track 1 seminar, which was today, and here's register for the track 2 seminar on Thursday.
Okay, track 1. What I saw, oh, Amplifund grant portals information.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's where it was. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, thanks for bringing it to the attention that we shouldn't put registrations in drop-down menus. Apparently, maybe we should have put that somewhere where the text is automatically visible. So
yeah, that might be best just below your office hours area.
Right here. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I don't know how quickly I can get the web team to make edits, but I might be able to send them put in a ticket for editing the website today, and maybe it'll be up by the end of the day tomorrow. I just got to.
That's okay. We'll definitely be on your call at on Thursday. So thank you.
Okay, and that one is all just about navigating Amplifund. So these questions about like, why doesn't this thing work, or
just how did? But hopefully, some of the earlier questions that we had today about how to register, those would be applicable for that meeting.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you guys. All right, Will, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I think this is a quick question. So everything's broken down by project, project work plan, project budget, etc. Project SWOT analysis. When it seems though like here's an example, like we're looking to expand our agriculture output, right? And so in effort to do that, we of course need to expand the agricultural infrastructure, but we also want to expand need to expand the input to the soil through our compost program. And it's really hard to kind of keep those together as one project because they're really like two operating projects. And so the question is can we does the template allow us to, or even are we allowed to kind of break this down and say, okay, in one lump grant we're pursuing 2 or 3 or 4 projects that all are in sync to the overall objective?
Yeah, so I mean, when you based on what you're kind of talking about, it sounds like your goal is to increase your production, for example, right? So that'll be your umbrella goal, right?
Yeah.
And then you have all of these activities that are going to lead to your ability to increase production, which include your fertilization regimen for your field, right? So your composting, the purchasing of various equipment, cooler, washing stations, whatever it is that you need.
Education,
equipment, labor,
workforce development. Yeah.
All of those are all kind of working towards the same goal, which is you want to increase your production output. So like your volume, right? And all of these things are part of that. So if you can kind of try to frame it in a way where all of these activities they're all working towards the same end. I could see it being a little bit more confusing, for example, if you had the desire to create a more robust internship program for workforce development, but then you also want to do a mushroom operation that has nothing to do with your internship. I could see that being a little bit wonky, but if you just keep your project, if your goal with all of these activities is to increase your production, just keep that in your mind and always frame things around how all of these various activities are working towards that goal. Does that help at all?
Well, yeah. So basically you do want, like, ultimately we're allowed to apply as it's a project. Like this is the whole thing, as diverse and broad as the needs are, it's a project. And it's not multiple projects.
I don't see that as multiple projects based on your example, because all of these activities are going towards the same end, which is increasing production. So yeah. I mean, and if it makes it more easy for you to think to write out your, for example, your SWOT analysis, or there's no rules saying that you can't have like goal number 1, whatever that goal is. Maybe it's workforce development. Goal number 2, increase field production. And then in the SWOT, you can just write 1, and then you know what your strength is, 2, and what the strengths are. If you want to go that in depth, that's your call. Or you can just frame all of it with that throughout with the same goal of like, yes, we're doing all of these activities to increase our production. So don't feel like you're going to receive negative points or be evaluated poorly for having a more broken down project work plan, or whatever makes sense for you, honestly, is fine, as long as you're addressing all of the requirements in the document. You'll be okay. But was that helpful at all?
Yeah. It was, unless Peter's still on, if he wants to add anything. Otherwise, we do have one more question.
Okay, yeah. Why don't you go for it, and then we'll give Mimi the floor, and I can stay for whatever amount. Sure.
So we are located in a city center. Our site is smack dab in the center of a qualifying census tract. However, we have a remote location that serves as land for some of our operations, where we will be going to. Ultimately, we're serving the census tract where our headquarters is, but we do have a remote site that is outside of the CARB map. So do you have any suggestions for addressing that remote site? Because it's certainly, again, serving the community that this grant is encouraging.
Yeah, so that's actually not a problem, because when you look at the eligibility language, it says that the programs either have to be led by or serve priority populations. So as long as you're demonstrating that the outputs of wherever your plots are, for example, let's say that you have a mobile market or something like that, and you're delivering it to affordable housing complexes within a priority population census tract in an urban area, that's still an eligible project, because you're serving the community that's being targeted. So you don't have to twist yourself into knots trying to figure out whether or not that qualifies. Like, you're fine. That's eligible, as long as you are very clear at demonstrating that the work coming out of that plot is serving a priority population in an urban area.
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, great. Mimi?
Hi, I just have a few clarifying questions.
Sure.
So in the chat, you had posted cities along with a number. Can you just clarify what that was again, please?
Sorry, yeah. So these were just when we were talking about how these 5 urban regions were selected. It was just literally looking at the largest urban areas throughout the state. And so this is just a list from some website that just has the largest cities in California ranked in order. So that's not really of any value to you, probably. It's just describing what those urban regions were kind of based on.
Okay. And I might be missing it, but are you all, I know the information session was a little while ago, but I haven't been able to find the recording. Are the recordings going to be on a different page?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we just have to wait until it's available.
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah, I can jump in if you want.
Great. Thanks, Rachel.
I'm working on getting them updated. I was having issues with my OneDrive syncing so that I could get the video shared to our IT team, and it finally downloaded today. So it should hopefully be up on the website tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. I know it's going to take a while. I know you're all recording the office hours and recording the Amplify application too. So I know it takes a while, but I just wanted to make sure if it's going to be there or somewhere else. So thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mimi. And if you have any other issues, we're going to be here every Tuesday. So, okay. I don't know if you all have the same Will, is your hand still up from before, or is this a new hand raise?
It's from I'm
Okay, that's
lowering my
fine.
hand. Yeah.
Okay, all right, go for it.
Hi, I also noticed John Muir Conservancy Land Trust was on the call. My question with regard to a grant, let's assume a land trust or an organization similar submitted an application that would seek to find both public and private lands for urban agricultural projects. Would those lands already have to be identified prior to the submission of the application, or could they be could they be selected over the grant period, that 28 or 29-month grant period?
So your question is whether or not someone would be able to put together an application, for example, from a land trust, and the fundable activities are identifying potential,
Identifying and
for-
establishing, being able to work with the organizations to put in place a community garden, let's say, in their area, or a backyard garden. The actual users or occupants of those properties might be undefined at the time of the application. But by the time the end of the application deadline, 28 months down the road, they would be filled.
Okay, so what I'm hearing then is that an organization would want to provide technical assistance to potential communities that would like to have a community garden or some other food sovereignty model built. Is that then that would
regard, yes.
That would be a totally appropriate application if that's what essentially it would be classified as that. Like, we want to provide all the technical assistance for up to 3 community gardens within the area that you have trusted relationships with, right? Yes, that would be a great technical assistance application. You could put together a whole package of what it takes to create a community garden and budgets and offer that to affordable housing complexes or whatever, you know? So yeah, I would view that as a technical assistance application.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, we're 4 minutes over time. I'm fine staying as long as anybody needs me. But I also want to respect everybody else's time. Are there any last burning questions between now and next Tuesday? We'll be here again for follow-ups. Otherwise, we will call this session a day and hopefully have more engagement throughout the month. But anything?
No, thanks so much. This was really great.
Oh, good. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks. I look forward to your emails. Email me written questions. I will get those uploaded onto the document and they will be posted onto our website. So keep an eye out. Thank you, Rachel, for doing all of the web stuff. And we will see you guys anytime that you want to jump back into this room.
All right.
So
Thanks
have
a lot.
a good rest of the day. Okay,
Bye,
thank you
everybody.
so much. Appreciate it.